Hi, let's talk about resource management in Jira using BigPicture. I will show you a demo configuration that we are doing for one of our customers that we're working with currently. And there are so many approaches to managing resources because different companies do it differently. This one is planning and later on monitoring resources on a monthly basis. So this is what we were focusing on, and there are also some smaller aspects to it. I'll get into more details a little bit later. Now, I want to also mention that this video is part of our effort to deliver high-quality training and learning materials for the Atlassian ecosystem. And if you want to support that, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving the like under the video if you will like it, of course. And also, if you will want to reach out to us for any kind of professional services, training, implementation support, consulting, the contacts you will find in the description of this video, also over here. So feel free to drop us a note. And now back to the topic. So I'm looking at the big picture main screen. This is the box that I'm going to be looking at. It's like a global plan for the whole company. And if I go inside this box, I don't actually want to visit the Gantt just yet. I want to visit the overview to show you what actually happens inside. What we did is we created a bunch of boxes that represent months, right? So the numbers over here are 1, 2, 3, all the way to 12, and these basically are months. This is essential because these boxes will serve the purpose. First of all, they are going to divide our data into monthly chunks. Second of all, we're going to also use the synchronization of those boxes back to Jira to have the information on the level of every ticket that gets assigned to one of those boxes, that this ticket is going to be planned for a specific month. So that's what we are going to do. And now, if I go to the board module first, I'll visit both the board module and the resources module, because in both of those modules you can manage resources, but the management of the resources in both of those places is a bit different. So it's worth understanding what is what. The board module, I feel personally that it's simpler because it requires less data as an input to the system. So this is why I will go here first. Let me go a little bit to the left so that we see the project plan from the beginning, from January, right? So this is our January box, this is our February box, and this is our backlog on the right-hand side. And you can see that some of the items are already planned inside our board. We have two teams over here, DevOps and ERP, and those teams have issues assigned to them. Those issues are also estimated. In this case, the estimates are done by hours or man days, but it also, of course, works with story points. So if you're working with story points, there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, if you're doing Agile and this board module is primarily dedicated for Agile users, you're even better with story points. But it also works with man days, so this is what we have over here. So the estimates you can see over here on the level of every issue, 1 week and 2 days, 1 day, 3 days, 1 day, and so on, right? So I enabled these to be visible on the card so that it's easy to grasp the situation. Also, if we take a look at the totals and the capacity and switch it to original estimate, what you will see over here is how well the teams are being used in terms of their capacity, of course, in specific months, right? So in January, we can see that DevOps is perfect, 100% of capacity allocation. ERP has a little bit more, or had, because it's in the past, had a little bit room to wiggle, and we could assign some other tasks to them, maybe some overhead tasks, right? Then in February, we can see that again, DevOps is fully allocated. ERP team is even over allocated, right? Which gets indicated to us as well. So because of those indicators that are available in the capacity planning mode on the board, following the planning is so easy, right? So if I go to March, which is not fully planned yet, we can see that there is 129% over here. So obviously this will not work. Something has to be done about it. This one is not fully planned yet. But if I would, for example, grab another issue, let's say this task from over here, and put it into the DevOps team, the issue will jump into this box of the DevOps team. It will also get a value in a proper field in Jira. So this field will now indicate that this issue is now planned for March, which is also very important to us, right? And of course, the capacity allocation indicator jumped over here as well. Now I can say, for example, that this task has to be reallocated to this team because the percentages over here, and now we have 100% here, 86% here. Of course, this is very simplified because just because I drag and drop this task doesn't mean that in reality it's possible, because the field of expertise of one team might be completely different from another team. So some other things can be done, but that's not the point. The point is that you get the information regarding the planning and you can react to these information, right? So this is what we were looking for over here. So this is how the planning from the resources perspective could look like over here. And as you can see, this planning here in the board module is available only on a team level, right? So we can't plan on an individual level. I mentioned earlier that this board is dedicated for the Agile approach, and that's typical to the Agile approach. You are not doing the planning on an individual level, you're doing the planning on a team level, and that's what is doable, available over here. Let's now switch to, actually, before I go to the resources module, I also want to show you another thing, right? So if you go to the Gantt module, because many of the companies that we are working with, they are working in an environment that is not really purely agile, but usually hybrid, right? So if you're working in a hybrid environment, this view could be very useful as well, because maybe for whatever reason, you will want to take a look at your project from the Gantt-like perspective. And if you want to do that, then please note that you can also visualize all of those tasks that we've seen previously on the Gantt over here. You can enable the view of the boxes so that you can actually see where each month starts and begin, and you clearly then can see which issues belong to a certain month. On top of this, I still also have this information back here, which is a field coming from Jira, which means I can see it here, but I can also see it on the field in Jira when I open the issue from the Jira perspective. So let me actually show this very quickly. This is a standard issue view screen. One of those issues is here, and you can see that the value of January 2024 is available to me over here as a simple Jira user, even without accessing BigPicture. All right? Okay, so what's next? Well, the next thing I wanted to get to is the resources module, because resources module is, of course, as the name suggests, a place where you can work with the resources quite heavily as well. But the way that resources are managed over here in the resources module is a bit different. You can still do the team-based planning. That's not a problem, because there are two switches available over here. You can go from individual view to the team view and back if you want to, right? So you can switch between those two. Currently, I'm looking at the team view. The same two teams are available to me over here, and I've enabled the aggregation of data per month, because again, this is what we are looking for. We are looking for monthly aggregation of data, and in this kind of a view, I can clearly see that the capacity of my team is here, and then the allocation of hours for my team is over here. You can see that nothing is highlighted in yellow or even red over here, because my capacity is much bigger than my current allocation. And even though these are the same two teams that I've been showing you on the board, and on the board, those teams were like 100% allocated or close to 100% allocated, sometimes even over allocated, it's not the case over here. The reason for this is that on the board module, you can define the capacity of the teams just by hand. So you can go into the settings and you can say, this team's capacity for January is this amount of hours, this amount of days, this amount of story points, right? Over here, it's a bit different. The resources module is working solely on the estimates of the tasks and the capacity of not teams, but actually people available in the team. So the capacity that I can see over here is actually the summary of all the capacities of the people that belong to the team. So you can see that this team has 2 members, and this team has also 2 members, right? And the summary of the members' capacity shows or results in the capacity of the whole team. So these values are different from the ones I've been looking at on the board. you can synchronize those values, but only one way, right? So if you use those values from over here, they can be used on the board as well, but not vice versa. So the values from the board will not be possible to be used over here in the resources module. So that's a bit of a downside, but that's not really a downside, because due to how capacities are managed over here, you have a lot more possibilities waiting for you. So you can use workload plans to indicate, for example, how people are working throughout the week. You can use holiday plans to mark non-working days, the holiday days, the days that people are basically not available to work. You can work with absences for the people. You can work with additional modifiers to help you, for example, indicate that even though the person comes to work for 8 hours, 8 hours are not really something that we want to plan for, because 20% of that always goes to some kind of an overhead, right? So because of those possibilities, this module works a bit different. And if you want to manage your resources in a more advanced way, this will definitely be the place where you will be able to do that, right? But all in all, what I was getting to is that still the monthly aggregation is possible over here. So if you're doing the monthly planning and then following the monthly execution, this place will also serve the purpose. I've hidden some information over here, but I can also enable the tasks. So if I want to see what is assigned to which person, I get this information over here. From this place, I can also rearrange the tasks between different teams. And of course, if I would like to take a look at the same thing from the perspective of individual users, that's available to me as well. Of course, my example over here is very simple. I don't have a lot of data, just 3.5 months planned so far, just 4 people in 2 teams. So in many cases of the companies we're working with, the data set is a lot bigger, but the principles are the same. So if it works over here, it will also work on a larger data set. Not going to go into all of the details of the configuration of this, because that would take probably like an hour or so. If you are interested in learning how BigPicture is able to help you work with your resources, with your project plan in the agile manner, in a waterfall perspective, in a hybrid approach, let us know. You can always reach out to us using the information available in the description of this video. Also over here, we'll be happy to have a chat. And if you want to follow up this chat later on with some services purchased from us, so be it. If not, it's also okay, because we are all here to learn and progress. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll be seeing you in one of the next ones.